I think this event is really positive. I mean, I think if businesses get together and start to talk about some of the issues, then solution, education happens. I personally think India is the epicenter of sustainability, and to build a business that's sustainable, where a lot of the pressures that we see in India are prevalent today that you don't see in other countries, really gives the Indian businesses a chance to innovate and to be leaders. And so being a part of an Indian convention like this is really good. It's really excellent. Well, I was on the panel recently, just on the CSO panel. That was an interesting discussion about the changes in India really started in about 2009 to 2012, where bigger businesses saw the need to explore what does sustainability mean and how do we build sustainable businesses. So that was a very interesting discussion. I think you've always got to drive motivation. You know, the law is eventually going to constrict business, and that's going to be make life difficult for many people over time. So rewarding people who are trying to lead and trying to do things, I think, is a very positive way to go. I think it'll be an interesting event. And you know, this group has managed now 6 years, so it's becoming institutionalized, should we say, which is very positive. Well, I came 6 years ago to India. Sustainability was really in its infancy, and really people were starting to see some of the issues in a negative way. And so Indian businesses have started to look at how do we improve, how do we move from, say, meeting legal standards to meeting international standards, how will we get to best practice, how do we change our management mindset of improvement. And I really do think that India has a chance to lead in this area. And then, of course, in the future, many of the things that a lot of countries take for granted, but will over time decay with climate change and these kind of issues, we can already see symptoms in India. So people are able to learn to cope and adapt. And so the adaptation piece and the strategy piece is becoming foremost in the minds of Indian business, I think. Oh, I think there's no question that legislation will have to tighten. We can already see with the Paris Agreement, India's commitments, that's already leading to the renewable power obligation, the PAT scheme. Water tables are becoming stressed, so people are going to have to adapt. So that improvement on how businesses reduce their impacts is going to be important. But as things deteriorate, at least to a certain point before they get better, businesses are going to have to understand what that means to them. What will the law say? How much water will I have? Where will I get my products from? Is my supply chain sustainable? We've defined a sustainable business as a business that can live in the constraints of a sustainable world by 2030 and 2050. And by definition, a sustainable world can only contain sustainable businesses. So it's going to be a case of adapt and survive, or don't adapt and don't survive. I think a lot of businesses are going to go through a big transition in the next 10, 15 years. It's going to be really exciting to see. Try to work with the CEOs. They're the people who make the big decisions. Work with them to help them make the right choices where they expand their business, how they expand, help them improve their management systems, and then help them think about where their businesses has to be placed in the future. How do they make it sustainable? What are the pressures that they're going to be feeling? How will they cope with those pressures? And start the conversation. I mean, the more that we can discuss these issues, the faster we'll solve them.